Hello, 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 everybody. Chelsea here, coming to you live. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, or whatever day it is for you. So excited to be here with you. So excited to share this series that we do here, the Love Over Fear Show. We really do this series to educate you, to inspire you, to live from a place of love instead of fear. This is a true paradigm shift to go from constantly living in fear and anxiety, from playing it small, from always staying in your comfort zone, going from that to being able to step up fully in your life, to take risks, to do things that scare you, and being able to do them anyway, to feel empowered, to truly choose love over fear in your life and in your relationship. We know that it's possible to love and care for your partner and to feel fear and anxiety at the same time. We know that inner pull, and we created this series to help you step into love and choose love and live from a place of love every single time fear rears its cute little head. So if you're joining with me live, say hello, let me know you're here. This series is like a talk show meets a podcast meets a TED Talk, because I go on lots of TED Talk rants, as I like to call them, meets just hanging out with us, connecting, learning, and growing together. So we are so excited. We do this every other week in the Moving Beyond Fear Facebook group. Again, this is a totally free series to inspire you, to educate you, and to help you make that consciousness shift from seeing everything in your life and in your relationship from this lens of fear to this lens of love. Hi, Sydney. Good to see you. Good to see your little face. All right, so let's get started. Today's episode, hi, Nadine. Today's episode is called Meet Your Biggest Critic. Dun, dun, dun. So, we all have this critic. I imagine if you're watching this, this critic is watching you. It's lurking around every corner in your life, watching you, always having something to say about everything you do, everything you think, every choice you make. It's waiting for you to mess up. It's waiting for you to do something imperfectly. It's always ready to say something judgmental and critical about something you say and something you do. Woo! This critic always has something to say about you, has something to say about your partner, how your partner looks, what your partner does, how your partner acted at that dinner party with your family, how your partner did or didn't respond to you perfectly. And this critic always has something to say about your relationship, kind of looking down on your relationship, how it's not as good as that one over there on social media. It's not as good as that one over there in that movie or that show. This critic has endless things to say, just delightful things to say. And this critic keeps you stuck in fear, keeps you living small, keeps you from making any choices because you're so afraid of this critic saying something or judging you. So it keeps you living in fear. It keeps you from fully stepping out into your life because you know that this critic is going to have something to say about what you do and what you choose, or what your partner does or what your partner chooses. And this critic is sabotaging your relationship, because this critic is always telling you that what you have is never enough, never good enough, never going to be good enough. And so then you show up in your relationship with this vibe, this energy of not enoughness. And I don't know about you, but if I show up in my relationship with this energy of our relationship is never going to be good enough, that would not do good for my relationship. That would put a real strain. And so this critic is sabotaging your relationship, because as you internalize this criticism and this judgment, and you believe this critic, you're going to start treating your partner maybe as if they're not good enough. You're going to start seeing your relationship as if it's not good enough. And let's just reflect, how would that impact how you show up for your partner and how you show up in your relationship? From this, it's never good enough, something is wrong, it's not enough. How would that impact how we show up in our relationship, for our partner, in our life, if we believe that it was never good enough? Ooh, we need to sit with that one for a second. I'm gonna check out my cup today. So, who is this critic that's always judging you, judging your choices, judging your partner, criticizing your relationship, making you believe that what you have and who you are is never going to be good enough? Who is this critic? I want you to unveil. Who is this critic that is sabotaging your relationship? Okay. I want you to find a mirror. I want you to find a mirror. Because this critic is you, honey. Your biggest critic, your worst critic is you. Ooh, that stings a little. Ooh, your worst critic is you. We are the ones that judge ourselves. We are the ones that judge our partner. We are the ones that tell ourselves that we're never good enough, that our partner is never good enough, that our relationship is never good enough. We are the ones that are keeping ourselves living small, living in fear of our own judgment, living in fear of making a mistake, of being imperfect. We are the ones that are afraid of taking risks for fear of messing up. Whoo! Ooh. Oh man, ooh, we're laying on the fire today. So how did we become our own biggest critic? How did we get here? How did we get to this place where we are constantly judging ourselves, judging our emotions, judging our experiences, judging our partner, judging and critiquing our relationship? How did we get here? Were we born like this? Is this true? All these things that we criticize about ourselves, is this an accurate depiction of reality? An accurate depiction of our relationship, of who we are, of our worth? How did we come to this? Becoming our own worst enemy, being so damn hard on ourselves to where we feel paralyzed. We can't make a decision. We can't fully embrace our relationship or embrace ourselves. We become paralyzed because we have critiqued ourselves to death. How did we get here? How did this happen? And I feel like grief and sadness coming up for me when I think about this, of how hard we are on ourselves, how hard we are on our partners, and how this all came about. So I want to talk about, I want to unveil, I want to kind of bring in this inner critic. Let's invite your inner critic. If you're watching live or on the replay, imagine you can invite your inner critic, this voice in your head that's always judging you, that's always saying you're never enough, your partner's never enough, your relationship's never enough. Let's invite it in, right? I think so many times we avoid talking about it, or we want to push it away. And let's have a pattern shift here. Let's actually invite in your inner critic. Sydney, you always say things that involuntarily bring up tears in me. Because this is real. This is real. And that's what I'm here to do, is bring the realness. Let's invite this inner critic. And let's get to know it. Why are you here? How did you get here? Why are you following me? Why are you watching my every move, my partner's every move? Let's get to know this inner critic. Let's become curious. And becoming curious about the ugly parts of ourselves, honey, that's how we heal. We don't shame ourselves more into healing, right? We don't critique ourselves more into healing. We love ourselves into healing. So, imagine you have this inner critic sitting next to you, standing next to you, however you are. And let's become curious, asking that part of us, that part that's just so damn mean and loud. The inner critic's very loud. It wants us to know how it feels about us and our decisions. Let's ask the inner critic, what are you here for? What is it that you're trying to accomplish by criticizing me, criticizing my relationship, criticizing my partner? What is it that you're trying to really do here? What purpose are you serving? That is one of the most important questions that you can learn to ask these ugly parts of ourselves. What purpose are you trying to serve here? Let's uncover, peel back the layers of the onion, of the inner critic. We have this inner critic who judges us in our every move in order to protect us. Chelsea, what? That don't make no sense. That does not make sense. You're wrong. My inner critic's trying to kill me. It hates me. On the surface, that's what it may seem like. But I'm going to break this down. Your inner critic judges you and criticizes you to protect you. And let's get some backstory on our inner critic. Somewhere along the way, we learned that if we made a mistake, that if we showed up fully as ourselves authentically in life, that if we didn't follow the external standards of society or our parents, sometimes we internalize our parents' criticism, we learn that if we made a mistake, that if we showed up authentically, that if we didn't follow the external standards, that we would be rejected. We would be shamed. We would be told that we're unworthy, whether explicitly or implicitly. You made a mistake. You did something wrong, right? As a child or a young adolescent, when we have those experiences, when we are told, you made a mistake, you are wrong, you are bad, you are unworthy, we internalize that. And that feels really unsafe and really dysregulating for a child to hear that kind of stuff. To have the finger wag, to have the how dare you make a mistake, or how dare you express an emotion that I can't handle as your parent because I haven't done my own inner work. Oh shit, we're getting deep. Okay. So, somewhere along the way, we learned that if we made a mistake, or if we showed up as our authentic self and we were judged, that we would be shamed, we would be rejected. And being rejected, our nervous system registers that as a total trauma of being kicked out of the tribe, so to speak. Our nervous systems are still very primal. So being kicked out of the tribe, being kicked out of the community, being rejected, shunned, shamed. And if we have multiple experiences like this, our nervous system learns, if I do X, Y, and Z, I will be shunned, kicked out of the tribe, whether literally, emotionally, or otherwise. So therefore, I've got to moderate myself. I've got to make sure I don't mess up. I've got to watch myself. I've got to always keep myself in line so that I am not rejected, so that I can stay safe, so that someone won't see me as unworthy. And we internalize this. And everything we do goes through this filter of I'm watching myself. Don't mess up. Because remember what happens when you mess up. Remember what happens when you make a mistake. Remember what happens when you show that emotion. Remember, our bodies remember implicitly these things. For me, I had such a big inner critic. Oh, so bad. I'm so sad that I was so mean to myself. And I also forgive that part of me because I understand it now. But I grew up in a very rigid religious culture and environment that subliminally was like, if you mess up, you deserve hell. If you mess up, God will be disappointed in you. If you mess up, you're not really a good Christian, and therefore you should be ashamed of yourself. If you mess up, you are unworthy. So I internalize this as I can't make a mistake. There is no room for my humanness. I better not make the wrong decision. And there was lots of things about right and wrong choices. You've got to make the right decision. You've got to follow God's will perfectly. And if you disobey God, you're a bad girl, right? Woo! So this externalized message and this thing that my nervous system learned, that making a mistake, making a wrong choice, not being perfect, not following God's will perfectly, meant that I was unworthy, meant that I was deserving of hell, eternal torture. And as a child, my nervous system internalized that and was like, oh, it is unsafe to make a mistake. It is unsafe to let myself be fully human. So that was my inner critic story. So my inner critic came in to protect me from making a mistake, from making a wrong choice, because my inner critic doesn't want me to feel unworthy, doesn't want me to go to hell, doesn't want me to be a bad girl. So my inner critic stepped in for a purpose. Your inner critic has stepped in for a purpose, to protect you from perceived rejection, perceived danger. Yeah, Alexandra, there's no room for my humanness. I have to follow God's will perfectly. Wow, I feel that so much. Yes. Take a breath with that. Whew. We're getting real deep. These are really emotionally intense things that we're bringing up here, but so crucial in being able to have this shift in consciousness. So our inner critic comes in usually somewhere around childhood, adolescence, depending on when you have these experiences. Sometimes even the school system, depending on, or if you were bullied, whatever the experiences that told you you're not enough as you are, don't mess up, you are unworthy, whatever those experiences were, the inner critic comes in to say, okay, well then I will make sure that she never messes up again. I will make sure that everyone thinks that she's a good girl, that she's making the right decisions. I will make sure, and I will be on her ass so much, making sure she doesn't make a mistake, because if she makes a mistake, I know what happens. Look what we learned. I know what happens if we make a mistake. So I've got to watch everything she does and judge everything she does. Oh, I got chills. Are we starting to have a different perspective of our inner critic now? Are we starting to see that behind the mean comments and the judgment and the criticism, behind that is a very scared part of us that experienced shame, rejection, pain, hurt. And the inner critic came in to serve you. At least that's what it believes that it's doing. But there comes a point when we're no longer in these environments, or it comes a point where the constant criticism is debilitating, stopping us from living and loving fully. There comes a point where we need to meet this inner critic and heal these inner wounds, these fears, these pains, these abandonment wounds, these feelings of rejection, these feelings of not enoughness, these experiences of unworthiness. And imagine you're all here because you're at that point. You're at that point where the inner critic is so loud, has something to say about everything you do. And you're starting to project it onto your partner. And you're like, I don't like that I'm doing that, but I can't stop. So imagine you're at that tipping point where the inner critic is not serving you and not protecting you anymore. Where the inner critic needs to know you don't need to do that anymore. And the inner critic judges your relationship also to protect you. It judges you to protect you, and it judges your relationship because it believes that your decision in your partner is an extension of you and who you are. That if you choose the wrong partner, if you choose a partner that's not good enough, then you're not good enough. What? I can't believe you picked someone like that. Are you settling? Ooh, your partner did that thing. You're settling. You need perfection. You need a perfect partner because your choice in partner is an extension of you. And if your partner is not perfect, then you're making a mistake. Then you're going to get hurt. And we can't have that. So we need to be on your partner too. Because if your partner's not perfect, he's got to go. She's got to go. Because we need perfection in order to be safe. If you make the wrong decision and pick the wrong partner, you are not safe. And it feels like a life or death thing, our choice in partner. We get such an intense fear about picking the wrong partner. And that is an indication that there is some stuff that we got to bring to the light and heal. Because there is no right or wrong. We learn these concepts to keep us safe. Okay, I got to make the right decision. I can't make the wrong decision. Ooh, it's a very fear-based way of thinking, survival way of thinking. But it doesn't allow for the complexity and the nuance of life and love and relationships and humanity. So we're white-knuckling our relationships. We're white-knuckling life. And if we make one mistake, or if our partner makes one mistake, or if our relationship doesn't look like that one on Facebook, right, this fear response comes up. And we point our finger at our partner and say, you're not doing good enough. You're not funny enough. You're not smart enough. You're not attractive enough. You don't say the right things all the time. Whew. Because if you're not perfect, then that means something about me. That I've made a mistake. That I'm a bad person for picking the wrong partner and settling. Oh, settling is one of the most triggering words for those with relationship anxiety. It was for me. I felt like I was going to throw up at the thought of settling. Because really at the root of that is the perfectionism and the fear of being unworthy. If I settle, I'm a piece of shit. If I'm a piece of shit, then I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, my whole life is doomed, I'm trash. Am I right or am I right? I need that frog meme, sipping tea. This is my chai tea. Am I right or am I right? This fear of settling and this constant criticism and judgment of not settling, not making a mistake, really at the root of it is the unworthiness. The fears of rejection. The fears of not being enough. Of not having a perfect life. Of not being perfect. Woo! We are going deep today. So this inner critic, your biggest critic, is there to protect you. Because it learned it's unsafe to make a mistake, to show up authentically, to show certain emotions, to take risks, to make decisions. The inner critic is there to make sure you don't mess up because it believes that if you mess up, you're unsafe. And that's very much a survival response. Let me check our comments here. I've directly heard in my ear the words, how could you be with someone who isn't XYZ or who doesn't do XYZ? Yep, it's judging you. How could you? Alexander, you're speaking my soul right now. Woo! Yes. So we brought in the inner critic. We understand, oh, actually, you're really hurt. You're really afraid. You're doing your best to protect me. And you don't need to do that anymore. If I make a mistake, I will live. It's okay. So what do we do? What can we do with this critic? What needs to happen now? Now that we know the purpose that the inner critic serves, this is where the healing work comes in. This is where we can't just like mantra our way or think our way out of this pattern, which is really a protective survival pattern. So these patterns are quite stubborn. And they want to hold on because they believe if you let go, if you stop criticizing yourself, if you stop criticizing your partner, you're going to mess up. You're going to get hurt. You're not going to be safe anymore. So you need me here. You need me here. That's what the inner critic believes. It's terrified of you no longer criticizing yourself, no longer criticizing your partner. It doesn't want you to let it go because it believes that you need it. And this is where the healing comes in. How do we teach the inner critic that it can settle down? That you don't need it to be at the forefront of your relationship, of your life, of everything you do. Woo! This inner critic needs to know and feel and experience that you can be fully human and messy and imperfect and be safe. That you can mess up and still be so worthy of love. That you can mess up and life is still okay. Your inner critic needs love, needs compassion. For you to embody that compassion, meaning it's a part of you. You feel the compassion. You know how to meet that critic with compassion. You're working with the inner critic. You're beginning to embrace your humanness. You're beginning to break out of this need to do everything perfectly and get it right. You're learning how to be a human again. How to be fully human, how to embrace this crazy, messy thing called life. We're not here to follow a perfect path. We're not here to avoid mistakes. We're not here to find the perfect partner. We're not here on this earth to be the perfect person. We're not here for that. We're here to be fully human. We're here to experience what it is to be alive and all that comes with it. The messiness, the ugliness, the mistakes, the failures, the brilliance, the joy, the love, the laughter, the tears. You're here to experience life, to create your own path, to play with the universe. You're not here to find a perfect path. And if you deviate from that perfect path, boom, zap. The rest of your life's going to shit now. You've messed up. You lost your chance. Bye-bye. We're not here for that. We're here to be fully human and to experience what it is to be alive. What it is to connect with another soul, with another human being. What it is to love and be loved in all that that is. All of the messiness of that. And the beauty. And our nervous systems need to experience that we can be okay if we're fully human. That we're not going to get hurt or punished. And if someone were to judge us or reject us, that doesn't mean anything about our worth and our worthiness, that we're inherently worthy no matter what someone else says, no matter if our mother doesn't like our partner or our father doesn't like our partner, no matter if the interwebs says our relationship isn't perfect. That we can stand solid in our worthiness, no matter what. And from that place, that knowing of our worthiness, being able to move through life with confidence, with self-trust, with being able to take risks, knowing, hey, this might be a mistake, I don't know. And guess what? There is no right or wrong. Just live. Just live. That's it. We're here to live, to learn, to grow, to evolve, to love. Yeah. And so if your inner critic has been so loud and so persistent and has been sabotaging your relationship, and you know that you're at that tipping point where it is getting in the way, it's not serving you anymore, and you know that there's healing that needs to be done, and you don't know how to do that, then I want to invite you to join our core relationship anxiety program, the Luscious Love Immersion. We have a whole freaking hour-long module plus live sessions on this very thing, about how to see yourself and your partner through the lens of love instead of fear, judgment, and criticism. One of our clients in the live session said, since doing this work, I have been so much less hard on myself. I don't judge myself like I used to. I'm like okay with being messy. And that's kind of the recurring thing that keeps coming up in our sessions, is people saying, this work like causes me to challenge all of that and to show up messy and to learn to be imperfect and not do things right and to be okay with that. And this work that we do in this program is the very work that set me free from that kind of thinking and criticism and perfectionism. And I'm just so honored and excited to be able to share the power of this work with others, so that you don't have to keep living with the critic running your life anymore. You can heal. You can learn to love yourself. You can learn to embrace your partner and all of their little quirks and flaws. You can learn to let your partner be fully human. You can learn to embrace your full humanity. And we teach you how to do this. We support you. We cheer you on. We help you go inward and give you the tools and the guidance that you need. Because it's really isolating and scary and lonely to try to do this work on your own. And sometimes we feel lost or confused. And it's really, 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 really powerful to have people who can hold space for you and guide you when things feel painful or scary or overwhelming. So we're doing open enrollment for the Luscious Love Immersion. So go check it out. I posted the link in the caption. Go check it out. If you're ready to truly shift into a whole new paradigm, this is a paradigm shift. Love over fear, living from a place of love instead of living from a place of fear. This is a true consciousness shift. You will not be the same. My life I could not go back to the way that I was once I experienced this inner shift. This is how you change the way you live your life, how you change how you show up in your relationship, how you love your partner, how you love yourself. So join us in the Luscious Love Immersion to learn to love yourself, to learn to love your partner, to stop being so hard on yourself, stop being so hard on your partner. So if you do have any questions about the Luscious Love Immersion, you can comment and we can chat. All right, everybody, sending you so much love. I hope this was inspiring and enlightening, and I hope that you will take the next step for yourself. Do this for you. This healing is ultimately for you. So you can live in freedom, live in love instead of fear. All right, everybody. Until next time, I can't wait to see you embrace yourself and embrace love wholeheartedly.